Today, we're looking into something that you guys have probably seen happening yourselves lately. We're seeing a lot of like really big YouTube channels kind of going dark, taking these long breaks and trying to figure out like, what's the story here? Are creators just taking breaks, or is there something bigger going on? And what does this all mean for the future of YouTube?
Right.
So let's dive in.
Well, what's interesting is the timing of it all, right? Like all of this is happening as these other platforms are becoming really popular, especially TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's really changed the way people consume content. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It feels like everyone's on TikTok these days.
Right.
But I mean, is that really enough to push these big YouTubers away?
Well, you got to think about the difference in the content, right? Like TikTok, it's short form videos, you know, just like quick bursts of entertainment. And it's kind of perfect for like, you know, those short attention spans we all have these days. And it's easy to just get sucked into that constant stream of like, you know, bite-sized content. But longer form videos, they kind of require like a different level of commitment, you know, and it seems like that commitment just might be like fading away.
Okay. Yeah, I see where you're going with this. But it's not just the viewers that have changed their habits, right? Like this whole shift towards short form content, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on the creators themselves too.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, this analysis really highlights like the immense pressure that creators face to like constantly pump out this top tier content. You know, it's not just competing against each other for views, but it's also fighting against these algorithms that are like designed to just push new content all the time. So it becomes this exhausting cycle of just like constantly making new stuff just to keep up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's really easy to forget that there's an actual person behind these channels. You know? Like a human being who is dealing with all the stress of constantly needing to be creative and engaging and essentially running a business.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that like burnout is cited as the primary reason for these, you know, hiatuses or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not just the creative demands either. Like there's a lot of business challenges mixed up in all of this too, you know? Like have you heard of CPMs? It stands for cost per mil, which basically means cost per 1,000 views.
Okay.
And it's like the amount of money that YouTubers earn for every 1,000 views they get on a video. But the thing is, these CPMs have gotten so unstable, and it makes it really tough for creators, even the ones with millions of subscribers, to make a decent living just from ad revenue.
So even if your videos are getting tons of views, you're saying you still might not be making enough to like justify putting in all that work.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really tricky. Like these alternative revenue streams, you know, like sponsorships or memberships, they can be super unreliable, and they often require even more work from creators who are already stretched thin.
So we've got burnout, we've got unstable ad revenue, and we've got like this fierce competition between all the YouTube creators. Is that the whole picture, or is there more to it?
Well, we're not quite done yet. Remember how we were talking about TikTok's algorithm and how it loves new content? Well, YouTube's algorithm kind of works in a similar way. And this puts long-form creators at a real disadvantage, you know? Like imagine you spend weeks crafting this amazing high-quality video, and then it gets buried under a mountain of newer, shorter videos.
So even if you pour your heart and soul into a video, you're saying there's no guarantee that it will actually reach the audience you made it for. That's got to be super discouraging for people who are used to having a large and, you know, dedicated following.
It definitely makes it hard to succeed. And then you have to consider the sheer volume of content that gets uploaded to YouTube every single day. Even if you manage to beat the algorithm, there's still a ton of competition for views.
Yeah, it's like trying to stand out in a crowded market where everybody's yelling about how great their stuff is. It must be exhausting to deal with that pressure constantly.
Yeah. It really is. And when you combine that pressure with unstable income and the rise of all these other platforms that offer quicker and easier ways to connect with people, it makes sense why some of these big YouTubers are choosing to step away.
So it really does sound like a perfect storm of challenges. Burnout, fierce competition, a relentless algorithm, and this shaky monetization.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for the future of YouTube? Is it going to survive this? And what does this mean for viewers like us? We're going to dive into those questions after a quick break, so stay tuned.
Yes.
Okay, so we've kind of painted a pretty like bleak picture, right? Burnout, algorithms, monetization struggles. But I mean, the analysis doesn't just end there, right? Like it's not all doom and gloom, is it?
No, not exactly. Like, yeah, those challenges are real, but the analysis also points out some potential positives that could come from this whole, you know, shift in the YouTube world.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Tell me there's a silver lining here somewhere.
Well, for one thing, this could be a good opportunity for smaller creators. Like, think about it. With some of those big names taking a break, there's more space for fresh voices and different kinds of content to get noticed.
So it's kind of like a forest fire,
yes.
right? Like devastating at first, but then it clears the way for new things to grow.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it's not just about like filling a gap. It's also about like maybe having a richer, more diverse YouTube experience overall. Like maybe those niche interests that we're having trouble finding an audience before will finally have a chance to connect with people.
Yeah, that's what I've always loved about YouTube. You can find content about literally anything. It's exciting to think that this could lead to even more unique and creative content on the platform.
Right. Like imagine discovering all these hidden gems channels that totally line up with your interests or even introduce you to something brand new. And who knows, maybe some of these smaller creators will become the next big YouTube stars.
It's almost like a changing of the guard, isn't it? And speaking of change, do you think this whole situation could force YouTube to rethink how they support creators on the platform?
It's definitely possible. Like YouTube might realize that they need to make some changes to keep creators around. Maybe they'll tweak the algorithm to be more friendly to long-form content, or maybe they'll find ways to make it easier for creators to make money.
Yeah, that would be a huge win for creators for sure. I mean, who wouldn't want to see YouTube become a more sustainable and supportive place for the people who are making the content that we all watch?
And let's not forget about the potential impact on viewers like you. This shift could lead to a more personalized and engaging experience. Think about it. You might discover channels and creators that you would have never found otherwise.
Yeah, like it's almost as if the algorithm gets shaken up a bit and suddenly you're exposed to a whole new world of content that's like perfectly tailored to your interests. It's kind of cool when you think about it that way.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, the future of YouTube is shaped by the choices that both creators and viewers make.
That's a really empowering thought. So we've talked about the challenges, the possible downsides, but also the exciting opportunities that this shift could bring. So what do we do with all of this information? Like, where do we go from here?
That's a great question, and I think it leads us to the most important part of our deep dive today. What does this all mean for you?
All right, let's bring it all home. What does this mean for everyone listening? Okay, so we've talked about all the different things happening with YouTube, like the challenges for creators and the potential good and bad things that could come from this whole shift. But where does that leave us, as viewers? Like, what can we actually do about it?
Well, that's where things get interesting because it's not like you're just watching all this happen, Like the choices that you make as a viewer actually have an impact on what happens to YouTube.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
So what can viewers actually do to kind of shape the platform into what they want to see?
Well, first, you got to think about your own viewing habits. Are you the kind of person who likes those short, entertaining videos, or do you prefer the longer, more in-depth stuff?
I guess it's like asking, am I in the mood for a snack or a full meal? Both are good,
Exactly. And there's room for both types of content on YouTube. Maybe you could try looking beyond what the algorithm recommends. Try to find creators who are making content about stuff you're really interested in, even if they're not super popular yet.
Yeah, like being an explorer, going off the map to find those hidden gems. That's a cool way to think about it. So what happens when you find those creators that you really love?
Well, that's when you got to show them some support. And I don't just mean hitting the subscribe button. I mean really engaging with their content. Leave a thoughtful comment, share their videos with other people if they have a membership or something like that, where you can support them directly. Consider doing that.
So basically, put your money where your mouth is, right? Like show creators and YouTube what kind of content you want to see more of.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about supporting the big names. Think about those smaller creators, the ones who are putting their heart and soul into their work, even if they don't have millions of subscribers yet.
Yeah, those are often the channels that are making the most unique and creative content, Like they're the ones who are taking risks and experimenting and trying new things.
And they need our support more than ever. Every view, every comment, every subscriber, it all makes a difference.
So it's like we're all investors in the future of YouTube, We can choose to support a platform that only cares about trends and quick fame, or we can choose to support a platform where different voices, creativity, and in-depth content can all exist.
And that's what gives me hope about this whole situation. Yeah, there are challenges, but there's also so much potential for good things to happen. It all depends on what we choose to do as viewers.
Wow, this deep dive has really changed the way I think about those, gone dark announcements from creators. It's not just about missing my favorite YouTubers. It's about understanding what's happening and realizing that I can actually do something about it. So before we wrap up, is there any final thought that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I would just say this. Don't just be a consumer of content. Be a curator. Be a champion for the creators that you love. Be someone who actively participates in creating the kind of YouTube that you want to see, because the future of the platform is literally in your hands.
That's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
So to everyone listening out there, go explore, go engage, and go support the creators who are making YouTube the awesome and diverse platform that it can be. Until next time, happy watching.